Good morning. If you're on the replay, we're waiting for people to join. Are y'all on here yet? It says there's 18 people, but I don't know if you can see me yet. Karen. Oh, dear Jesus. Glasses on. Okay, y'all can see me. Okay, look. If my glasses are like this, there's a story behind it. There is definitely a story behind my glasses. So I'm going to try to make them normal. I'll tell you in a minute. Do I look Christmassy with my red shirt on? I just felt like. Okay, Chris. I saw that Carol joined. Wait, where'd it go? It says she's a new member. Y'all know I'm a straight up don't understand. I'm assuming that's a new member to YouTube. I'm not really sure because it's like everybody's is in. Well, Karen fans' name's in green, but like Carol's name, the whole shebang is in green, and I'm not really sure if. And it says new members. I'm not really sure, but it shows she's on YouTube, so I'm assuming she joined the subscriber page. If you did, Carol, if that's what that means, thank you, Carol. Carol is very good to me. You all are, though, so thank you. Okay, Cheryl. Thank you, Carol. Y'all know I'm still learning. We have a few minutes before we get started. Oh, well, thank you, Carol. Kelly, just go online and book your tour. That's all you have to do. I'm putting on my handy dandy watch. So, okay, it's 7:00. I did it again. I wrote down what I needed to say, which is unusual, because I just feel really scatterbrained. I'm always scatterbrained, but I really feel really scatterbrained with all that's going on. Okay, let's update you on Cecil the cat first. Okay, if you don't know, Cecil found me. Cecil was my neighbor's cat that found me, and it's a boy, and he has been missing for a month and a half. And I thought a coyote had gotten him. I was so upset. Cecil and Coco were both my neighbor's cats, but they've never lived inside. So they don't like to come inside. Like I tried to make them come inside and they hate it. I mean, they hate it. So Cecil went to the vet yesterday and got snipped. So he quit running off and he got his little, I've never owned a cat, but something about what do cats get? Leukemia. He got his little shots and he got his rabies shots yesterday. So he's a little under the weather, but I got him back yesterday and he's fine. He did not move a lot yesterday. So I know he's sore, but this morning he got up and ran outside and the vet said that was fine. Boys recover faster than girls. So he's doing fine. Okay, next up is the baby goat. Okay, I am going to straighten my hair today. Yeah, I'm going to straighten my hair today. Somebody said that they thought I looked younger with straight hair, so we going for the straight young look today. Okay, so baby goat. All right. First of all, I want to talk about my last YouTube video. I love my own video, okay? Like I watched it back, and then I realized that I did, like, my fingers hit. I didn't spell bloopers right. Did any of y'all notice that? It says bloppers. I meant to do that because it was bloopers. So I misspelled bloopers on purpose. Just kidding. It was a mix up and somebody noticed it. And then so I had to go back and go, what did I write? I went back and I was like, Judy, you are straight up a retard. Why did you do that? But anyway, so we had a bloppers at the end, but I was watching the video back, and I thought it was my best video, and I don't have a lot of views on it. I'm like, y'all, I thought that was a good one. It had funny music. Anyway, so if you have not watched my latest YouTube video, it takes, and I know guys know this because you guys that follow me, y'all have been on YouTube longer than me. So it takes hours to edit those things. So like when you don't have a lot of views, you're like, dude, it took freaking 2 hours to edit this. Please watch it. Somebody think it's funny, please. So anyway, so there's only like, I don't even know if there's 1,000 views. Let's go look. Okay, hang on. Oh, I have 1,000 views. Okay, I have 1,000 views in 24 hours, which is terrible. That is terrible, y'all. That is terrible. So, I don't know. My views are down a little bit. I don't know if everybody's out Christmas shopping or if I bore everybody to death, but they're not very up. And it's very. I called Nico. Y'all know who Nico is? Is it Our Brown Farmhouse? Our Brown Farmhouse. I think it's who it is. I get confused. Anyway, and he was like all discouraged about his YouTube channel. And I'm like, dude, let's just cry together. I mean, because you put a lot of effort into that crap. And I'm like, let's just cry together and let's fuss. So we just, me and Nico had a little fussing session. And then I said, okay, well, our fussing time's over. Let's move on. Anyway, so about my video. Okay, now let's move on to the baby goat. Y'all. Okay. The reason I was talking about the video, my hair looks ridiculous. The reason I was talking about the video is because I was fixing to talk about the baby goat. Okay, this is the deal. When I was recording the video, I stayed out, or maybe it was a video before that. Anyway, I went out there because my dad's treatments have not started yet. So I had time to go out there and kind of introduce the baby goats to the other animals. And so I was out there. I can't handle what my hair looks like. I went out there. I'm going to guess 2 hours. Okay. I was out there 2 hours making sure that Leroy wasn't going to go ballistic. But you know who was? Leroy didn't care. Wait, did y'all get your protein? Leroy did not care about the baby goats. He barely did the sniff test. It was Taterbug that was so interested in the baby goats. Well, I stayed out there for like 2 hours with these baby goats to make sure everything was going to go smooth and nobody was going to hurt them. And it seemed to be going, other than Tate was, I'm just going to say, he was like doing a lot of sniffing. But you got to remember, he's kind of like the baby. And he's in the teenage years because he's fixing to turn a year old. Can you believe that? He's fixing to be a year old. And he has never really been around baby goats. You know what I mean? So like he don't know what the crap's going on. And well, when I decided to walk away, I was pretty confident like that everything was going to go okay. And so I came inside because, I was going to check on my dad, make sure he was okay. I came inside. I'm going to say I came inside for an hour. I go back outside and Tut, which is the spotted goat, was standing in the stall with his mom just like this, not moving, like it was in shock. And I was like, what is wrong with this goat? I go up to it, and right here on its neck, he had some fur missing and now it wasn't like no one bit him down where he was bleeding, but there was a raw spot with no fur. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. It had to have been Tate. It was not Leroy. Well, the goat was not, I guess I should say the kid. The kid was not hurt. It was like it was scared crapless. It was just like, I gotta take my glasses off. It was like it was just standing still, and it was just scared to death. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I realized, okay, Luna's babies are a week older than Polka's baby. So Luna's babies are jumping around, jumping on the pig and all this stuff. And the other baby was pretty active, but it's smaller. And I was like, oh my gosh. Well, then I kept a close eye on it. And it's breathing fine. There's nothing wrong. It's just scared. And I felt like the biggest piece of crap mom. And so I decided that it's going to have to stay in the barn for another week with its mom. Well, yesterday, I noticed Polka's bag was full. So I was like, I don't think it's drinking. So I had to go in there and milk Polka, because what happens if you don't have baby goats, you may not know this, but if the bag gets too full, the baby can't put its mouth around the teat to suck the milk out. So I had to go in there several times and milk her to get her teat down so that the baby would latch on. And I kept taking the baby over there, and all the baby would do is sit there and lick it. He wouldn't attach. And I was like, I'm fixing to have to bottle feed this baby. And I'm thinking, how am I going to bottle feed this baby when I have to take my dad's treatment? Like, this goat's going to have to ride with us to treatment. This is going to be a disaster. But I didn't give up. I kept going in there, and I was working with the baby. Finally, it attached and drank the heck out of some milk. So I went in there. I was going in there often to just make sure that the baby was okay. The baby is fine. The baby's latched on. We're doing good. Yesterday when I picked up Cecil, I talked to the vet about it, and there is a possibility that I might have to bottle feed, but I think at this point we're okay. I'm pretty sure we're okay, because it lashed on several times yesterday without me coaching it. So I think we're good. But this is the process of having animals that live together. Just like human beings, if you're not raised to be around people that are not like you, if you're raised to understand that people are raised differently, but we don't have to hang out with them, but we shouldn't judge them, and we shouldn't pick on them, and we shouldn't think differently because they think they have different opinions from us. You have to do the same thing with daggum animals. Like, I, as a mother, have to say, okay, there's someone coming into the farm that doesn't look like you. That doesn't mean that we go around picking on them. Like, I have to coach these animals. They don't automatically do it. Okay. When people come to my, I'm not getting ready. When people come to my farm and they go, how does your animals live together? I have to teach them, just like you as a parent. If you sat there and told your kids, uh, let's just say, I'm just going to be blunt. If you teach your kids, we don't hang out with people of color. We only hang out with people that's our color. Okay, they're different from us. You don't like they're raised totally different and they're criminals. And if you see uh, a group of, let's just say, Mexican people, you stay away from them because they could hurt you. Like, if you raise your kids to think like that, they're going to be scared crapless when they go somewhere and there's a group of them. Instead of going, you know what? They're just like us. At the end of the day, we're all just alike. When I go out there and introduce someone new to the farm, I literally have to do the same things that I do being a mother. I have to say, okay, this baby goat's smaller than you, but that doesn't mean you pick on them. It's a process. And just because you teach your kids not to discriminate doesn't mean it takes them a minute to catch on, right? Because, like, even me, as back in my time, back when I was young, I hate to say this, but I mean, it wasn't like my parents like taught me not to hang out with people that were not my color. It wasn't like they said that. It was just kind of like, if I was in high school, and I'm just being honest. So if I offend anybody, don't let this offend you. I'm just being honest. But when I was in high school, like, if you were gay, you're gonna get the bejesus kicked out of you. You're gonna get beat up. You do not, you like, that was just like in my high school, like, that was a no. Okay. So people that had those tendencies, they walked around not telling anybody because they were scared to death they were going to get beat up, even though I feel like people, of like that are born that way with those tendencies. They couldn't tell anybody because they would get the crap beat out of them by the jocks. So, like, they didn't, like, today's day, like, people just, they just say it and they don't get beat up. But back in my day, you did get beat up. Like, you got the crap beat up. And, like, if I were to date someone that was not my color, okay, when I was in high school, if I was to bring someone to my house that was not the same color as me, my parents would have flipped their lid. They would have flipped their lid. Okay, let me tell you. And so what happens is, whatever you're taught by your parents, you kind of take it on to your kids. Whatever family traditions you had growing up, like you wrap the presents, you don't wrap the presents, you kind of end up doing the same thing with your kids, is what you do, or most people do. Well, when I became a mother, and my youngest son, this is when Facebook first started. My youngest son had a picture, and I'm gonna say he was 10 years old, something like that. I mean, he was young. Well, he had a picture of this girl on his profile picture, and she was of color. And my other son came running down the stairs and went, "Do you know that Vanson is dating a black girl?" And I was like, "What?" Okay, I was like, "What?" So then, me not understanding, I go upstairs and I said, "Sit down. We need to talk." Okay, y'all. I'm being honest. I hope that I'm not offending anyone. I'm being honest, and there is an end to this story. So if I'm offending you now, I need you to hear the whole story before you just go, "I'm unfollowing her. I'm not listening to her." I need you to hear the whole story because there is a process to the story. So I go upstairs and I said, "Sit down. Who is this girl you're dating? Or who is your girlfriend?" And he began to tell me. And I said, "Vanson, I don't think you understand. Uh, it you don't date people out of our race." And he was like, "Why?" And I said, "Because if you were to ever have kids with her, the kids have no idea if they're black or white. They don't fit in with the black people and they don't fit in with the white people. And it's not fair to the kids. So you're not dating out of your race. Do you understand me?" And my son cried his eyes out. Okay. And I was like, "You're not doing that. Get the profile picture off. You're not doing that." And then my family members were calling me on the phone and going, "Do you know that Vanson has this?" It was so when I tell you that my family did discriminate, it's just they didn't say the words, but my whole entire family discriminated. Okay. So Vanson was devastated. Vanson was devastated, but he got over it because I told him he couldn't, right? So he got over it. Well, when my son was younger, I noticed um, that he had gay tendencies. Okay. I noticed it. I noticed it when he was like in first grade. Like I noticed it his whole life. And I told you that I go to counseling, and I would go to my counselor and I'm like, "I think my son's gay. What am I going to do?" And she would be like, "What does that mean? I mean, what do you mean? What are you going to do?" And I'm like, "How do I correct? Like, how do I fix it?" I was like, "That's funny. I guess because my fingers going down." I was like, "How do I fix it? Like, what did I do wrong?" Like he's like wanting to wear my clothes to school, and what the heck? What do I do? And she was like, "Judy, I don't think you can fix it." Oh Lord, I hear my peacocks. She was like, "I don't think you can fix it." So like his whole life, I pretty much knew. But what do you do about it? Okay. So my family pretty much knows too because they see his mannerisms. And I can remember my family saying, if he brings somebody of the same sex to our dinner table, he's not allowed here. And I was like, "This is my kid." Like, are you kidding me? So like that started happening. Like, and I started like the mama bear came out in me, and I was like, "You will not do that to my child. You will not. I'm not asking you to accept it, but you're not going to sit here and tell me that my child is not allowed at your table. Because if he's not allowed, I'm not allowed." Okay, so things are going on. Okay, like years pass. It's kind of like not talked about anymore. Years pass. And then um all of a sudden My son, his 10th, just to let y'all know, this was not planned to talk about. Okay, so maybe someone needs to hear it. I don't know. Maybe I just need to talk about it. I don't know. But this was not in my notes at all. Okay, just to let you know. So, his sophomore year in high school, I'm woke up by my best friend saying, "Have you seen Vance's Instagram?" And I was like, "No." I mean, it's literally 7:00 in the morning. Back then, I didn't get up at 5:00 in the morning. And she's like, "You need to go look at his Instagram." And I was like, "Oh God, what am I kidding? I can't do now." So I go out there, and he's basically coming out of the closet that he's gay, and on Instagram. And so I go in there, and I go in there. I get him out of the bed because he had made the post apparently that night or whatever. And I go get him out of the bed, and I take the Bible, and I make him sit down. I said, "I need you to sit down. We need to talk about what you posted on Instagram." He was like, "Okay." And I said, "Do you know what the Bible says about being gay?" And my son's been in church his whole life. So he's like, "Yes, mother, I do." And I said, "Do you realize, let me read you what the scripture says. Let me read you what the scripture says." And I began to tell him that he's going straight to hell. Oh, yeah, I was that person. I set him down and I said, "Oh my God, you're going to go straight to hell. Do you, like, I don't think you're old enough to understand what you're even talking about." Okay, please keep in mind that I already knew he had those tendencies, right? And then here I am, he comes out of the closet, and then I begin to tell him that he's totally wrong. Like, you are totally wrong. And I don't remember him crying or anything like that. I remember him, I'm trying to think what he was like. It seemed like he was just like looking at me like I was a straight up dumb butt. Okay. Like, here we go, mothers. Here we go with this preaching. Mom telling me I'm going to hell, all this stuff. I don't remember what he did, but he stood his ground. He didn't care what I said. He did not care what I said. He had no expression on his face. And then once I got away from him, I told my counselor, I'm like, "Well, my suspicion was right. He's gay. What am I going to do? My son's going to hell. Like, oh my gosh." And it took me a minute, I don't know how long, to accept it, because I was raised by my grandmother, who I call Mother Mary. My grandmother was very, very, very religious. And she was Southern Baptist. So Vanson had a sin, and Vanson was going straight to hell. And so I was scared to accept it, because I was scared that I was giving him a free ticket to hell. And so as a parent, I was like, well, I don't like, if I sit here and tell him he's wrong, he's going to kill himself. He's going to be suicidal. And I don't want that. I don't want that. But then if I say it's so I accept you, then I'm giving him a free pass to hell. And I struggled for the longest time with the whole situation, but I kept quiet about it. I kept quiet about it and just continued counseling, because I was like, I wasn't raised this way. Then I pretty much got to acceptance, like realizing, when your kids start getting older, things are kind of out of your control. Like sometimes to me, I don't know about you, I find parenting older kids much difficult than parenting a 2-year-old. Like 2-year-old, you can discipline. Like you can put them in the corner or put them in timeout and tell them they're wrong. But when they become like 16, 17 and become their own person, like like it's like you can't, I don't know, I can't, it's just different. Okay, you can't spank them. They don't care. You could beat the crap out of them and it doesn't hurt them. Like, like you don't really have as much control when they become at that age versus a young kid where you can discipline and go, if you do that again, you're about to get in timeout. And they're like, no. When you're 17, you're like, I'm taking your cell phone away. I mean, yeah, that's difficult for them, but it's like they'll just go get a new one or something. You can't really discipline. So I had got to the point of acceptance. Okay. I'm like, I can't fix this. I can't stop this. And I love my son, and this is his life. Like he has to figure out his own life. Like I can't, when I talk about throwing your opinions on people. If I go in there and throw my opinion on him, all I'm going to do is make him mad. And I'm just going to push him away from me, and it's going to cause a relationship problem between him and I. And I love him too much to do that. So I got to acceptance. Okay, when I was at acceptance, I really didn't have to worry about it because he didn't date anybody. Like he just said he was gay. He didn't have a boyfriend, or like he wasn't in a relationship. Like I didn't really have to worry about it until he got to college. And then I got too much crap on my desk. And then he started dating someone. And I had to see him with a guy for the first time. And I'm like, this is hard. Like, this is difficult. Okay. So then what do I do as a parent? I have the sex talk. And I'm like, do you understand how you get AIDS? Do you understand protection? And he's looking at me like, are we really going to have this conversation? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Sit your butt down because we are fixing to talk about the birds and the bees. We're going to talk about what's that person's going to want to do. And like, I had to talk with him. Oh, yeah, I did when I was in college. Okay. And he's looking at me like, I am crazy. Kayla, I'm not really sure if that's anyway. So if I sit him down and I talk to him, okay, the person that he was dating was of color. So then I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, oh my goodness. Like, not only am I dealing with the fact that he's gay, but now I'm dealing with the fact that he is dating outside our race. I wasn't raised that was normal, right? I'm not. I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So then I had to swallow another pill to go, okay, this is not only hard, but this is real hard for me. I didn't say a word to him because I didn't know how I felt. And I just kept quiet and I went to my counselor. I said, I don't need to go to him because you know how, like, if you tell your kids at a certain age not to do something, they're going to do the opposite and become president. You know what I'm talking about? So like sometimes when you have teenage kids that let's just say are doing things you don't like them to do, if you sit down and talk to them, they're going to do the opposite because they're going to rebel against you because at that age, you are a straight up dumb butt and they don't like you to begin with at a teenage years. And they're going to do the opposite to prove you wrong and become president. So you're fighting a losing battle if you're a mother right now of a teenager and your kids are doing something that you literally cannot stand. Okay, if you sit them down and tell them how wrong they are, well, they're going to do the opposite and become president, and you're going to go crazy. Just to let you know, I have the medal badge for that. I talk from experience, okay? And it is hard to have a teenager that does things that you didn't raise them to do. And you're like, where in the heck? And you start blaming their friends. Oh, it's who they're hanging out with. Okay. It's their friends. Okay. Well, I had this kid that was leader of the pack. Okay. He wasn't a follower, he was a leader. Okay. He was the leader. Okay. Both my kids are like that. Both my kids are not followers, they're leaders. Okay. So it was very difficult because I couldn't necessarily blame their kids. I'm like, oh my gosh, my kid's the kid that you don't want your kid to hang out with. Oh, no. What am I going to do? Okay. So, like, it took me a minute as my kids got older and started having minds of their own to go, what planet are they living on? Like, what the heck? Okay, so just know if you're a mom of a teenager, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. The best thing you can do is if your kid is, you know how like when kids become teenagers, they start drinking and all that crap. Okay, I'm going to suggest you to go to Al-Anon. Go to Al-Anon. Okay, so anyway, speaking of my other son, okay, so anyway, so at this point, I'm just like, okay, well, I don't know, like, but let me fast forward. Okay, now let me just stick with the story. So anyway, so I'm sitting back and I'm keeping my mouth shut. I'm just like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, y'all are going on a date, great, like. Oh my God. Because I felt like that how did I feel? I just felt like everything was just going wrong. Like, where did I go wrong as a parent? Like, what the heck? I mean, I just felt, I don't even know. I don't know how to explain it. I just kept my mouth shut and went to counseling. We're going to have a drink of protein. So, they broke up and he ended up dating again. And it was outside the race as well. But this time I was a little bit like I was okay. But as time has gone on, my kids have taught me so much that I didn't know. They have. I've experienced things with having a child that's gay. And my other child struggles with other things. And I've been faced with things and I've seen a different side of a person that's gay, a person that dates outside the sex. I have seen a different side than I've ever seen before. So it's almost as my eyes started opening. And I was like, okay, it's either accept it or don't have a relationship with my child. Those are my choices. And I didn't want to be that parent. At the end of the day, my kids are my kids are 25 and 26 years old now. Like I have no control, right? Like I have no control. But I didn't want to be the parent that kicked my kid to the curb because he was living a life that I didn't understand. I didn't want to be that parent. And there are parents who whose kids come out of the closet, let's just say they're gay or whatever, and the parents kick them out. They literally kick them out and do not accept them at all. Oh, I forgot to use that other eyeshadow. That's not the parent I want to be. Personally, that's not who I want to be. And so as I've gone through this walk of life with my children, I've learned to be tenderhearted against people that are not like me. And when I got my farm and I started having schools come to my farm, I told you guys that I've never solicited one school. I've never personally gone to a school and said, "My name is Judy. I do field trips. I would love to have you at my farm." I've never actually done that. The kids started coming here, and I was like, what the heck am I going to teach them? And I really came to like when people would come to my farm and say, "I think it's cool how all your animals live together." And I didn't really understand what that meant. So that's what I teach. And you guys that have followed me for a while, you know that I teach about how my animals live together and don't discriminate against each other. And that's really what I have learned in life is I was raised to not date outside my race. I was raised that being gay you're going straight to hell. Like that's what I was raised. I was raised to tell my son, "You are going to hell." Like in a bag of sack potatoes, you're going straight to hell. That's what I was raised with. And as I've grown up, and had kids that have these, that's gay and date outside the race and different situations my other son struggles with, I've learned that at the end of the day, we're all alike. That's what I've learned. Like, who am I to sit here and tell my son he's going straight to hell when I had sin in my own life? Like, you know what I mean? I I have seen him like it ain't like Aunt Judy's a rock star and just does everything right. Hey, if I sat and told you what I was doing at their age, oh, my kids are doing fantastic compared to what I was doing. Let's just say that. Yeah. They're doing like absolutely fantastic. And I just when I as I grow older, it's like you become wiser. You know what I'm talking about? Like you start looking at things differently than what you looked at when you were younger because you're wiser and you've been through it and you understand. And I think I'm putting a lot of makeup on. I don't know why. So if I look a little over the top, I am. Um, but I've learned that I've learned not to judge. I've learned not to judge. And I've learned that that I need to worry about Judy. I need to let my children and my other family members write their own story. You know what I mean? Hang on. You know I'm blind and I can't see what I'm doing. Um, I've learned to let people write their own stories and me not try to interrupt because I'm not God. You know, when I try to start interrupting things, I'm playing the role of God. You're going to hell. I'm playing the role of God. Okay? Yes, as a parent, you lead and guide your kids in the right direction, but once they get a certain age, it's almost like your parenting skills are over. Like you've got to let them make their own decision. You know, as a parent, you've trained them in the right direction that you believe is right. But when they get their own mindset and start doing their own things and making their own decisions, you're like, what are they doing? This is a train wreck. You have to let them write their own book. Hang on. But my my youngest son, well, no, both my kids have taught me so much about life because I didn't realize that I was taught to discriminate. I didn't realize that. I really didn't. I mean, because it wasn't like my parents just came out and said it, but it was understood. If I would have done that, if I would have brought home, if I would have started dating someone outside my race, my parents would have flipped their lid. They never actually said that. It was understood. But I knew better. Like I knew better that if I came home, my dad would have flipped his lid. I knew better. And I don't know how you were raised, and I don't know if if you're probably my age, it was probably the same way with you because that's just what we did. And when you see people outside the race start screaming and hollering discrimination, um it's because of the way the world has been, way back when, because there was so much discrimination, because the black people were slaves and the white people weren't, and all that. And there's a lot of people to this day, there's a lot of white people to this day that discriminate just like I was raised because that's just what but until you've been in a situation where your children date outside the race and you're like, wait a minute, like, if you haven't been in my shoes and you discriminate, it's because you haven't been faced with that. And my farm teaches, wait, this was supposed to go up here. My farm teaches against discrimination because that's what I've learned. I've learned if my child to this day brought home a husband that was outside the race, do you know what I would do? I would open my arms and I would love them and I would welcome them into my family, and I would be so proud to say it's my son-in-law, and I would love with an open heart. Do I understand it? Do I understand why my son is gay? I do not get it at all. Do I understand? Like, do I understand the whole ram of it? I don't. I don't understand it. But see, when I start throwing my opinion on other people, all I do is push them away from me because all I do is I think I'm right. I'm playing I'm playing God. Do you think that if do you let's just put it like this. If I could change my son's opinion, do you think I would have changed it when I set him down when he was a sophomore in high school and said, "You're going straight to hell"? Do you know? I said this to him. I'm like, "Do you understand?" I said, "I wished he was here so we could talk about it." I said, "Do you understand how two gay guys have sex?" The balloons went up. He goes, "Mother, are you serious?" And I was like, "No, no, no. Before you tell me you're gay, I need you to tell me that you understand what's fixing to happen to you." I did. I did. I sure did. I'm like, "Do you understand? Like, do you get it? Do you like we're fixing to talk details. Do you understand?" Because I wasn't sure if he understood. Because he'd never really dated. So like I have a different my kids taught me that I was discriminating against that. I did. I literally used to discriminate so bad. And I used to insert my opinion all over the map. I used to do that. I carried around the Bible and I told him he was going straight to hell. I did every bit of that. I did. And it did me zero good and pushed everyone away from me. That's what it did. When I started preaching, when you know how I talk about cigarettes a lot. Well, my oldest son smoked cigarettes and this is what I did to my kids. I am not a drinker. I am not a smoker. I am totally against it. Okay. I said, "I do not care how old you are. You peacock preaching stick. I don't care how old you are. You will never drink in front of me. Not one sip of alcohol. Do you understand me? You will respect me. You will not smoke around me. You will not drink around me. Do you understand? I don't care if you're 50 years old. You will not do that around me." Oh, yeah. I said that. And what happened was when I went to Al-Anon, they were like, "Do you really say that?" And I'm like, "Yes, they're not doing that around me. I will parent until the day I die. They will not do that around me, period." And she was like, my sponsor, she was like, "Judy, they're of age to drink." And I'm like, "I don't give two rats crap about how old they are. They will not do that around me. Period. They won't say a cuss word around me. They will not smoke around me. And they will not drink around me. Period. End of discussion." And I couldn't understand why my kids didn't want to come to my house. I'm like, my kids never want to come see me. Why? They could care two craps about me. Why? And then I started realizing it was because I was dictating their life. But what was I really scared of? What was I like? Let's think about this just for a minute. When you say things like I just said, you're not, I don't care if you're 50 years old, you're not drinking a margarita at a Mexican restaurant with me, period. You're not doing it. What was what let's break that conversation. You know how we break conversations down? Let's break this conversation down. And what am I really trying to say? What am I trying to say? I'll tell you what I'm trying to say. I am a child of an alcoholic. I am a grandchild of two alcoholics. My entire life, I've never seen anything good come out of alcohol ever in my entire life. When you're a child that has lived with alcoholism in your family, you're either going to probably do it and be an alcoholic yourself and just give into it, or you're going to be like me and be a freakazoid about it. And what I'm trying to say to them, boy, I got a lot of eye makeup on today. What I'm trying to say to them is, I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared that if you drink in front of me, that you're going to become an alcoholic. Or I'm scared that if I allow you to drink in front of me, that I'm caving in to bad behavior. I'm scared that, like, those are the things that I'm scared of. And instead of me saying that, I've put my foot down. Okay, do y'all like my hair straight or no? I used to wear my hair straight all the time. Instead of me saying I'm scared, I was putting down demands that you're not doing this in front of me. And with my youngest son, I don't feel like he has like a problem per se. Like, I think he can control his like decisions to drink. My other son, I'm not so sure. I think he has some tendencies to struggle, and I just know what I've seen as a child. Like my mother used to drink with my brothers, and they were underage. And I can remember as a child, like we would go to the beach for summer break, and my brother was 16, and my mother used to do shots with my brother. And I remember like hating it, going, why is my mother drinking with my brother? And I remember one time my mother had a drinking contest with my brother. And the drinking contest was the first person that throws up loses. And here I am. I think I was 15. I don't even think I was driving yet. And I can remember being at the beach. And I can remember being in that, whatever we were in. I think it wasn't a hotel. It was a house. So I think we rented a house. And I remember sitting there watching my mom and brother just throw down, drinking and doing shots, and me sitting on the sidelines going, this is so, because I had a friend with me. Her name was Julie. I remember vividly. And me and Julie were sitting there. I'm humiliated that my mother is getting drunk with my 16-year-old brother. And I hated it. I literally hated it. But that's what I grew up with. And then, like, my mother was single. Larry was not in the picture until I was an adult. But my mother parented out of guilt, I think. And every single weekend, like if you went to high school with me, you can vouch. My house, it was called the Waniger house. Everyone came to the Waniger house to drink, to have sex. Like, my house was the party pad because my mother wasn't home a lot because my mother worked all the time. So everyone used to come to my house to party. And you know what Judy did? Judy used to sit in her bedroom with the door shut. I hated it. So, like, I have a lot of, when it comes to drinking and smoking and stuff like that, you see where my background comes from because I was that child that sat in the corner that just watched and thought they were all batshit crazy, going, what is wrong with this picture? I mean, I used to come home and there would be people drunk. My mother would have parties, and my mother's friends would be in her bedroom having sex, and I'd have to walk past the hallway to get to my room and there would be people just drinking everywhere. And I used to go sit in my bedroom scared to death. So that's why I'm a freakazoid. And that was my mother. My dad was an alcoholic. So I had two parents that were not the best role model. So as a parent myself, I said, I will never do that to my children. Ever. Ever. And I was very strict with my children growing up. So, when they started drinking and doing, I was like, oh, no, 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 no. I started getting paranoid because I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot let my kids go down this path. And so Mother Bear came out and like, you will not do this in front of me. You will not. You will not. Do you understand? Like, do you want to do this to your children? Do you want to be that parent that does that in front of their children? Like, I had to learn. I had to learn that I have a lot of PTSD when it comes to drinking, smoking, and all those things. I had to learn that. And then when my kids became adults and I was still doing things that I did, like I was still parenting them as if they were children, and I realized that their lives are different from mine, I had to learn to come to acceptance. Because if I didn't come to acceptance, I was going to push them away, and then I would be that parent that had nothing to do with my child. And even though I didn't understand either one of my kids' lifestyles, I realized through Al-Anon that I couldn't control it. So I had to go, you know what? I have to let them live their own lives and write their own stories. Because if I try to write my own child's story, I'm going to interrupt what God's trying to do. And if I try to interrupt writing their story, then I'm playing the role of God. And even though as a parent, it hurts me because I'm like, oh my God, please don't let my kid go to hell. Please, 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 please. Oh my God. Like it's scary. It's scary. It's scary to me because I do know what the Bible says. I do know. But at the end of the day, that's where my trust has to come in. If I start speaking and telling people they're going to hell and playing the role of God and interrupting his great works, what I have to do as an individual and as a mother and as a friend, and I have to sit here and trust that God is in control. At the end of the day, who can I control? Myself. And all I can do is pray that God, like sometimes my prayers used to be out of desperation. It would be like, dear God, listen, I just need you to make every time they put a cigarette in their mouth, I need you to make them vomit. Like, I was so detailed about my prayers. Just make them vomit. Like, if my son drinks, please put him in, like, make the police arrest him. Because I was playing the role of God, telling God what he needed to do to make my kids stop doing what I didn't want them to do. That's what I was doing, okay? And I was telling God how he needed to intervene with my children because I know best, right? I know what's best. But sometimes sitting back and letting God do his work, sometimes as a parent, for us to sit and watch the horrible things that are going on in our children's lives, sometimes as a parent, we think we know best. But that's when things are out of your control as a parent, you have got to understand that you have to spend more time in prayer than you do talking. Because when you talk, you're just blah blah. This is what, when you're talking to your child, and you don't want to be like your grandfather and drink, okay? Do you understand we have alcoholism in our family? Do you get it? Like, when you have children and you try to stop this, you're in trouble. Like, you're trying to talk and preach and all this stuff to your child, okay? If you would close your mouth and spend time in prayer and trust that God is in control, that's when you need to work on your relationship with God, because you're going to find yourself very mad at God that he would create a human being that would be like that. Like, why would you allow this child to be born to go straight to hell? Like, you get mad at God. That's where you have to pull your strength and go, okay, God, you're going to have to help me because I'm running my trap and I need to sit still. I need to sit still. And I hope that what I say makes sense to you guys. I don't know what you've been through personally with your life and, what your childhood was like. And you find yourself, because of the way you were raised, being the way you are. And it's just what happens. But sometimes you have to relearn things from way you were raised. You have to relearn because the way you were raised wasn't of God, or the way you were raised wasn't right. You have to relearn it when you have children that you thought would never. You look at their baby pictures and you're like, oh, they're such a perfect angel. Oh my gosh. And then they grow up and you're like, oh God, this is a nightmare. This is not what I thought. I just need that little infant back that loved their mom and just, you held like this. I hope what I said, I'm probably rambling. Okay, I'm going to just tell you why my glasses are like this is because I was in the barn last night. And I was actually recording a conversation to Kayla about what we needed to do today. And all of a sudden, Bobby Joe breaks through the fence and knocks me down on my tail. And my glasses fell off my head. And now they're not broken, but they're jacked up. I think they can be fixed, but I'm like this. And so my glasses are falling off my head. So today I have to go to the eye doctor, or not the eye doctor, but the whatever they're called, the person that fixes my glasses, are going to have to fix my glasses today because they're falling off my head and I'm going to break them. All right, guys, I love you. If you're a parent of a teenager, God bless you. God bless you. And know that your Aunt Judy loves you, and know that you're going to get through this. And it's not the end of the day. And when your kids do something that, when your kids do things that you're like, I didn't raise them to do, understand that it's not the end of the world. Like at the end of the day, we need to quit talking and keep your mouth quiet and just listen. Just listen and do more talking in quiet time than you do to their face. When you're trying to fix someone, you're in trouble. You can't fix anyone. Even if you're trying to fix your mother or your best friend, if you're trying to fix them, if you're a fixer and you're going to tell these people what they need to do to fix their life, you're in trouble. You're straight up in trouble. The best thing you can do is spend your quiet time with God and tell him your frustrations and tell him what you're facing and draw yourself closer to him, because that is who's going to help you get through it. Because if you're trying to fix other people, you're headed for a dead end. You're headed for stress and heartache and anxiety and all those things that come along with trying to fix people. You can't fix anybody but yourself. I love you guys. Today's Wednesday. It's hump day. This Saturday, I have a Christmas event. If you have the opportunity to, if you're local and have the opportunity to come, I hope that you can join us, because Kayla and I have put a lot of hard work into this event. And please pray that it doesn't rain, because rain is in the forecast, but it shows the rain later in the day. So I'm hoping that it'll put off. Know that if you are coming to my event, we're going to be parking in my field that's by the garden. So when you come up my hill, it's the first turn. There will be a parking sign. Please understand that parking is limited. There may be people parking on the street. Make sure that you don't park on both sides of the road, simply because an ambulance needs to be getting through the midline in case there's an emergency. Do not park in my neighbor's yard, or I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to put no trespassing signs right there. All the people that have volunteered for this event, thank you. The people that have sent donations this year, I cannot begin to thank you enough. Nonprofits function off donations. And I have had so many people come into my life since I joined YouTube. And you guys mean the world to me, and know that. And I hope that as time goes, that we'll get closer and closer. And I hope that I say things to you that help you in struggles that you have. Just know that this holiday season, you're not alone. Okay. I struggle too. And we're in this together. And you've come to a place where my page is not discriminating. My page, I don't care what you struggle with. I probably do too. It's a safe place. And I encourage each one of my followers or subscribers to encourage each other. And I believe that we have built a really good team here. You're not going to, I've noticed that people don't really give their opinions on here, and I'm hoping that's because they're learning, but they give encouragement. So, and if I ever see someone start giving their opinion and like getting ugly, Kayla and I have got our eye out and we remove the comment immediately. So there's not fussing and fighting on my page. I hope that my page is always uplifting and is a safe place to come for anybody. All right, guys, you have two choices today. You could sit it out or you can go make butter. And I hope you make butter. I'll see you next time.